Don't make me do that. Damn, sucker. Get it. Most of all, stop. One time, get it. Most of all, I know you can get it. Oh, most of all, I want you to get it. I know you will. Damn, sucker. Shine the spotlight on. Everybody's gotta live a life under the sun, 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 under the sun.
Can y'all hear me like this?
Yeah, we
Can y'all hear me in the back? Yeah. All right. This is for the lost boys who haven't found their crowns yet. I grabbed a doctorate degree, sealed it inside a bottle and sent it downriver. And I hope it washes ashore. So you can be sure there is a path of greatness already paved for you. I see more than an early grave for you. Make your dreams a slave to you. Lost boys who haven't found their crowns yet. Kings without kingdoms, subjects or knowledge itself. Figure their options are limited like the number of buses in their neighborhood. Looking for love in every place but his home address, dressing themselves in anger and dissonance. Approach him with caution. He may raise his hand to prepare to fight, but king, there is no war here. All the dragons have been slain. The only one left is your intellect. Break the gate in your mind, flow free. See the lion in your eyes. Hear the roar in your breath. The world is your jungle. There is power in your step. Lost boys, you have always been selected. Woven hands of 12 million slaves, you have always been protected. Lifted, movers, gifted. There's a difference between history and legacy, and both of yours are rich. Let greatness be the new poison you inject into your veins. Break free of those lockets. I know you don't mean to sag. It's the weight down in your pockets. Drop the rocks the way Musa will let jewels just fall from his cloak. Coat yourself in amazing and wear it like a North Face. You've been touching your lineage all along, using corn syrup for sugar cane, but you are the original. The only continent connected to the planet that it's on. Tectonic plates don't move you. Pain and struggle don't deter you. Police lights have never made you afraid, so approach you with caution. He may raise his hands and prepare to fight. You feel society is giving up on you when they have. But don't worry about it. We never needed them anyway. An identity stolen from you, but you've created so many more. This is for the lost boys who haven't found their crowns yet. Young legend, don't let them rob your cradle. Don't pacify your dreams. The block ain't gonna be hot enough till you earn another degree. King me, it takes faith. It takes courage. It takes everything your daddy never was. It takes working so hard you get real trips, shed real blood. King me, witness what freedom really feels like. What love really feels like. What being a daddy really feels like. It feels like pain, but better. It feels like being a son again. Brighten up their lives every day and watch how they raise you. King me, be a man. Face your demons. King me, swallow your pride 1,000 times before you let it govern your right. King me, know your rights. King me, know your life. King me. This is for the lost boys who ain't lost no more. We found our crowns. King me.
needs a miracle. Needs a miracle. We need a miracle. A miracle. A loud, unadulterated miracle. Backstart with the history of denial and hatred. We prove of it all. Our children's laughter, our Sunday's praise, our chanting is by design. We smile just to ward off evil. Our happiness is calculated. We exist as evidence of something greater in our dance. Hell, our dance, we dance just because we want to. We were here before this. We were here before all of this when light exploded into sun and crashed into complete darkness. And if you're completely still, if you're completely still, you can still see us. Hear us dancing on the horizon of time when breath was formed between hilltops and ocean floors. We made ourselves into ourselves and smiled and said it was good.
This is ska. This is ska. This is ska. This is ska. Ska. This is ska. This is ska. This is ska. Ska. This is ska. This is ska. 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 Yeah. This is ska. This is ska. Ska. Ska.
Que me quedaba de ira y nada más. Amargura, señores, que a veces me dan. La cura resulta más mala que la enfermedad. Amargura, señores, que a veces me dan. La cura resulta más mala que la enfermedad.
shore of a not so strange land named something strange by a strange people after someone just as strange. Found you on their golden sand. Found you with your sword and flag, arrogant in your confusion. Found you ranting and raving in some strange language. Found you thick with obscene rhythms about having discovered something. Found you with your teeth dripping with the stench of rotten raw meat. Found you filthy with the pungency peculiar to your kind, spoiling the air, thick with the scent of the tropical nectar of freedom. Found you with your eyesight smoking, with your crazy eyes, bloodshot red, with your human fever cold tears, not yet the bad breath, of the beautiful Sunday. Found you with the passion of the state, found you magnificent shit. The fatal mistake of trying to help you, and of course, to the eternal shame of your race. Rap is history. Take it down. Take it down. Take it down.
You made me happy. This you can bet. You stood right beside me, yeah, and I won't forget. before I let go. We've had our good time. That's not to say we've hurting each other. Girl, it's a shame. I won't be foolish, no. I wanna know. I wanna make sure I'm right, girl, before I let go. Yeah. You know I thank the sun rises and shines on you. You know there's nothing, nothing, nothing I would not do. Oh no, before I let you go.
It's a brand new day with the same old things. What in the world is happening? Black men dying for no reason. Officers act as if it's hunting season. Yeah. I scream out, why? Why? Lord, why? Why are we going through this? In broad daylight with witnesses, but yet we can't see justice. Say joy comes in the morning, but it's hard to smile through pain. There's nothing new under the sun. No. Yeah. Racism is at it again. With every breath, we're losing seconds. We're running out of time. If you can hear us, Father, please save us. We're running out of time. We are dying at an alarming rate. In the land of the free and home of the brave, where handcuffs are the new chains. Even when we're right, we can't escape the fears they have wrapped up in hate. They stand up tall and justify their ways. The lies they tell, images they paint, makes it impossible for me to feel safe. With every breath we take, we're losing seconds. We're running out of time. If you can hear us, Lord, we need you to help us. We're running out of time. Yes, we are. Every day's unpredictable. We don't know if we leave the house, if we'll make it back home. We're running out of time.
Hello, everybody. I'm Marcy Depina, and welcome to a conversation that is part of Newark Arts Festival with the one and only photographer, videographer, music artist all around, the artist extraordinaire, Armando OUTthere Diaz. Hey, Armando.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. It's so great to have you this year be a part of our festival and for us to be able to sit down and talk to each other.
And I'm absolutely honored that I'm being a part of it. This is great. It's really great.
Well, I've been following your work for a few years now. And, you know, what I love about your work is that you have such a unique way of capturing motion. And really what you're capturing is like the soul of whatever your subject is. So I wanted to work with you this year on the Newark Arts Festival. As you know, this is our very first year, like so many other people, having to pivot and do things virtually instead of in person. So when we were thinking about what kind of exhibitions we could do in the virtual space, one thing that was really clear was that we could get creative in ways that we hadn't previously done. And when I thought about what's visually stunning and what could be really creative, you were one of the first people that came to my mind, because really when I look at your work, it takes you on a journey. So I'm really pleased that you're able to be a part of this. And I want to start off by asking you about your new project, because I really should tell everybody that they're now in the Weirdo party. Which is what you always say, welcome to the Weirdo party. But I did want to just talk to you about your new project, or what you've been branding. You've been using a new brand, and it's eGALLUTS. And I want you to explain to everybody, what is eGALLUTS? And that's the title of your exhibition.
Yeah. So last year was my exhibit at Clear Story Fine Art. That's the Weirdo Party home base, and basically I was trying to sort of figure out how to theme what my work is representative of in a way that kind of was all encompassing. Like there's a lot of it's weird. It's hard to brand, and knowing that you have to live with that brand once you get started. So I wanted to make sure that whatever it was absolutely fit what the work consists of, what my attitude about things are, and what the point of it all is. So the eGALLUTS is it's an acronym for everybody's got a little light under the sun. And anybody familiar with George Clinton should know exactly what's going on there. And anybody who hears the song who doesn't know what I'm talking about will remember as soon as they hear that little piece. But the whole point of it, well, let me just describe the work. The work that I do is it's all people centric, and it's all people centric in whatever context they operate in. So whether you're an entertainer or something like that, which is where I come from as far as the music and all that other stuff, I've come from that world. So I kind of started shooting in that, as well as just kind of being a street photographer, and because I'm in different places all the time. Everything is just focused on what people do in whatever context they operating in, as business people, as mothers, as teachers, as coaches, as players on sports, whatever that is. Like it's not a particular thing. So for a long time, it was hard for people to pin down, what the work was about. They didn't know if I was a sports photographer or anything. You know what I mean? Like the different categories. I wasn't in any category, but it was hard to talk about it in that sense because people are so used to being put in, was deciding to be in a box in order to work in a certain direction that they're not comfortable with the idea of doing like cross genre, work. And I was not, I can't help it because my work is more about what people do and how people interact and the connections we have with each other. And those are the things that I notice, coming up in a time when most of my youth I spent completely confused about what people were all about. I just didn't get it. And picking up the camera was the first time that I started to really notice what people do and recognize what people do and go, okay, I'm seeing a situation here and I'm going, this is what I think is happening here. This is what I think is relevant. This is what I think is the poignant moment or whatever it is. I'm going to capture that. And when I show people, what I captured. If I'm correct, they respond to it the way I saw it, which means, okay, I'm following humanity now. Now I understand better what people are about, and I understand myself way better, because that was something that happened over the years. You just get lost, especially when you just get into the grind and you do things day to day to survive, or if you're on a career trajectory and you just get on that mark, and you just you're doing that, and you don't notice a lot of stuff, and so things get past you, and you don't. For me, I just lost track of myself, and so it was a way initially, not even as a pardon the car drive by.
That's okay.
Yeah, initially it was a way for me to get back to whatever reality was supposed to be, because I kind of lost myself. And I was just confused about a lot of stuff, and it brought me back. But then I realized how powerful it was to actually be in places and understand people on that level, and then the satisfaction of having them respond to my intuition, which meant I felt better. Like I felt more at ease, more at peace to know that, okay, I'm not crazy. I am seeing what I'm seeing here, whatever it is.
That's so beautiful. So really for you, your camera has been a tool of engagement, a tool of understanding, a tool to deepening your own connection with the world. And that's really interesting, because a lot of times when people think about photography, they look at photographers almost as being sort of on the outside. They're like outside, they're watching the scene, and then they're capturing the scene. But you're actually talking about something entirely different. You're talking about connecting. You're not just like a voyeur that's out there that's just like watching people, but you're actually using this as a way to build relationships with people, to build relationships with humanity. And I think that really shows in your work. And I think hearing you explain it like that, to me, that really, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it, because I think that is that thing that's in your work that's so special, is that it is a relationship. There is a dialogue. Your shots never see, and you have some very intimate shots, shots of scenes that some people might gasp at or wouldn't want to be photographed in that kind of way. But it never seems intrusive when you have those photos up. It always seems exactly as you just described it, like this was your dialogue with that person, with that scene, with that sense of humanity. And I think that's what makes you really unique and so cool.
Well, I appreciate that. I definitely appreciate that.
It's the truth. So I want to talk to you about this moment, because you've always been on the ground photographing what's happening in the streets. I think that the current moment that we're in right now, where we've, came out of months of being quarantined and being in isolation and really separated from each other in ways that we have never experienced in our lifetime. And then coupled with that, all of the social movements that are happening, which to me, social movements always bring out the photographers that want like shock value kind of photos, right? Because there's so much happening in a protest. There's so much happening when there's unrest. There's so much happening when people are like taking to the streets to fight for their rights, that I think it's almost easy to get good shots because there's so much activity. But this is, right? Is that not true?
I mean, yeah, I'm trying to be fair about it. Some better than others, but yeah, no, it is a whole lot easier. It's like, shooting people in the barrel. It's all there for you. There's I'm sorry about the light. There we go. It's just like it is sort of like that. But then again, even in that sense, the quality of what you do is like any other. It's like any other event. There's people who go and shoot something, and they're at base level just reporting, and they're not really looking for that connection to anybody. They're just looking to say, look what's going on over here, and that's about it. And they don't tie you into it at all. You are a voyeur, and that's it. And for me, it's like when I'm at any of these situations, especially the protest, because of the emotion in it for people, I'm looking for who's actually feeling the most, whatever that energy is, and get into them. And that to me says more about what's actually happening on the ground than people holding up signs and with the signs, how clever they might be, You know what I mean? That kind of thing. And a lot of people will shoot for that reason. They'll see a clever sign that you know. I mean, I'm not saying that the messages aren't important, but it's low hanging fruit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So my question to you is, as somebody who's been on the streets your whole career, this is what you do. What is the difference in the moment now for you where there's so much to be shot, there's so much material out there, there's so like, how does it change for you, or does it change?
It doesn't. It doesn't. Because the purpose is absolutely the same. It's like I said in the beginning, all I do is put people in context and let them show me whatever it is that they're doing in that context. So if you're a protester, whatever that is, whatever that means to you, I'm going to show it to whoever's looking. And if you're a grocery store, cashier, I'm going to show you that life too. And anybody who's a grocery store cashier is going to see that and go, wow, yeah, I know that. I know what it's like to rub my finger on a little sponge so I can count the dollar bills. Like, those are the things that matter to me, because those are the things that you see or what people deal with in that context. Showing somebody, like, say, in that context, as a picture of somebody standing next to a register will tell you, what they do. But that extra step is where it connects you to them, especially if you're a customer on the line. You recognize that motion. You recognize that particular action of them counting money, and they would grab a little sponge and then they start counting. Like, I know it's a minor thing, but I mean, entirely everything I shoot is like with that in mind. So if you're a protester, like when I went to DC for the National Action Network's march, and one of the things that not fascinated me but always got my attention is that there's definitely a lot of people with signs and fist up and all sorts of stuff. But the thing I liked the most was getting the pictures of the people who, because of the heat out there and the lack of water in the proximity to where the speeches were happening, they actually had a fire truck out there with the whole water hose spraying everybody to keep them cool. And I thought it was absolutely, as relevant that people are out there in this blazing heat for like 9-10 hours, and that it was recognized, and they brought the fire truck out to keep people cool and allow them to continue to voice their concerns that way. I could have, there was thousands, signs everywhere. You know what I mean? There was speeches going on, there was all that. But that moment right there, for anybody who was there, they're going to remember, it was hot as hell out there. And it was like people, they wheeled a lot of people off in an ambulance, because of the heat. So that fire truck was really relevant to me in the context of that protest. And that's the kind of thing, details that just go beyond the basic, here's what I'm looking at kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm. What's interesting about that for me is that, in the 60s, when we were, having another time of massive protest and so much, what's the word I'm looking for? So much uncertainty with the government and the people, and just like this massive unification of different types of people, like saying, okay, these things are wrong and we want change. People were using fire hoses during that. The powers that be were using fire hoses during that to actually stand the protesters down. So what a difference, 60 years makes. And that's really interesting to see.
And your response to it is exactly what I'm talking about. It's like, here I am showing you fire hose in a positive situation, where in the previous, era, it had a whole different, if I mentioned the fire hose was used at a protest, you had a whole different idea about what that looked like.
Yeah, indeed. So this eGALLUTS project, so I watched it. I had the pleasure of getting to preview the video. So I encourage everybody, if you haven't seen it, you should definitely check it out. It is on demand throughout the Newark Arts Festival. But what was so compelling, I actually cried when I was, like, a few times. And what was so interesting to me was that I cried both tears of sadness and tears of joy. And like in a matter of about 15 minutes, you made me feel that range of emotion through all of these visuals. It just pops, the combination between the music, the movement, and the storyline that's being told, it's like you're really taking us on this journey where we get to feel that full spectrum of emotions, from, you know, seeing girls dancing and, you know, seeing people out in the middle of a festival, or seeing something like scenes from Jerry Gant's funeral, which maybe not everybody would even know that that's what it's from, but you can feel the feeling that you, in that one particular clip, with realism and treat. You know, you don't have to know what was going on. You feel what's happening there. And then for you to take it right back into the celebration of life and joy and beauty, that's not an easy thing to do. It's not easy to take people on that kind of journey. Like, how hard was it for you to take all the footage that you have and pare that down to a short film for people to watch?
Well, it was only difficult in the limitation in time. If you would have said, "Hey, put it together," I don't care if it's a full-length movie, I could have gave you all kinds of. I mean, I could have tripled that effect on you easily, because I have all kinds of stuff archived from over the years that I've been shooting, and because you know, I mean, all the stuff that I presented, I try to make it, you know, Newark centric, but I mean, I've shot stuff in all kinds of places of the same type of thing, and you would have gotten that whole range. It just would have took you there on a longer journey to do it. I just didn't have the time to. I wasn't given enough time in the sense of the total length to be able to do more with it. But the actual thing that I did was, you know, was to limit it into those particular, because it was kind of tough, because it was like I wanted. It's both was what I wanted, what I saw as relevant to Newark, but it's also what's relevant to me.
So that's actually pretty good that you were able to get it down in that, you know, kind of distillation of such powerful pieces. So we are in the time still of a pandemic. There's still this happening. You know, there's still artists in particular have been completely affected, and everybody's been affected. But I think especially artists who so much of what we do is about connection. It's about being out in the world. It's about events. It's about, you know, presenting your work in front of other people. So I think that this moment has really affected the arts community in ways that none of us could have ever anticipated. I'm sorry, my son is coming in and out, and I hope we can't hear that in the video. So how has it been for you? How has, you know, the pandemic been for you, and what have you learned throughout this time?
The only direct way that it affected my plans was that from the time that I started the exhibit, I did the actual, like, the photos were, you know, what was being shown, but the point of the exhibit wasn't just about the photos and having a reception, that kind of thing. It was an ongoing event series. And so for the 6 weeks that the actual show ran, I had an event every week until it was over. And then from that, I extended it into an event series that jumped off in January with our silent disco comedy night. But what happened was, once the pandemic hit, you know, couldn't do any live events, especially not at the capacity that we had, because we had a lot of people at it. So that's the only direct effect that it had on my plans. But I'm like I said, I operate within whatever context is going on. So what I ended up doing is, all the artists that I would have featured in these events that were coming up, I basically ended up doing a web series on them, which then evolved into something a little bit more than that. So I did the eGALLUTS Quarantine series, which is it's on YouTube, and 17 episodes, and it's basically me asking the same question to all the artists that I'm talking about, and how did that affect what they were trying to do, and then what are they getting out of this situation? And then I would show a featured performance by the same person. So, you know, Janetza, for example, you know, was one of the people that I went to early, and, you know, she told me how, you know, if you saw the episode, she let us know how she feel about it, and really let you know that it affected her in all kinds of ways, both as an artist and as a person. And then immediately afterwards, she, you know, strummed a little bit on the guitar and just did her thing. And I did that with pretty much with everybody, you know, involved, and it ended up being 17 episodes. So nothing I didn't know I was going to do that series, but nothing changed about the way I did things other than the fact that we wanted to have a live event series that was off of the social media grid ultimately, like to get back to where, remember back in the day, things were going on, parties or whatever, you got a flyer handed to you, somebody told you directly. It was no check the event calendar kind of a situation. You had to know somebody. We wanted to get back to that. And that was the ultimate goal, but we never got the momentum to get it back to that point because we got shut down in March. So literally the day that I go to promote the next event, like literally that day, they say, oh, we're not doing events. You have to shut everything down, no more or whatever. So that was very disappointing. And I probably sat around for about like 3 weeks trying to figure out, what the hell I'm going to do with this. I don't even, because we had everything set in motion. We already put monies into it and everything else. And now it's like we're short on monies because we lost it and not being able to do the events. And now what do I do, without that? And it just, like I said, the event, the series itself just turned into the thing that I did for the next few months, and actually it worked out really well. So I'm good. Like being able, as long as I can stay shooting and stay showing people, what people do, I'm perfectly fine in whatever context I operate in, because that's the whole point of it. It's not about what I'm trying to do. It's about what people are doing out here, and I can show you yourself, not yourself literally, but yourself and the people that I'm showing you.
Mm. Yeah. What's interesting about that, or rather, how should I say this? I know you wanted it to be a more analog experience, but the truth is that once this pandemic is over, we're all going to want analog experiences. So I think you were almost ahead of the curve, in the sense of wanting to bring people together in a way that was off the grid, really like touching each other, person to person, minus social media. I think this moment is showing us all that we're grateful for all of these tools, for this technology. You and I couldn't have this conversation right now if it wasn't for this technology. But I also think that moving forward, we're going to be really grateful for the opportunities of being able to gather and come together and really like pick up the phone, have a conversation, etc. It's going to be a different world.
I actually wanted to add something too, if you don't mind. I wanted to add something that I didn't say about the initial point of the exhibits. When I did it, the actual the events, the reason why I wanted that was not just that I wanted to put a lot of people in the room and just have something ongoing. Is that I wanted to put people of different walks together and let them interact in a place where they are super cool and relaxed to be able to do that. People who you wouldn't expect to be together in the same room, and watch them interact, and treat each other like human beings. And that happened, like that part of it was so successful, like it actually changed the direction of the way things were going to be happening at the gallery, because it was the thing. It was like, whether I'm up here or I'm an accountant up here and you're doing, whatever, or even if you're on the street, even if you're hustling, you're still a human being.
So I want to talk to you a little bit about Newark and about the Newark art scene. This is the Newark Arts Festival. This is a time of the year that most artists in the area look forward to every single year. But the community of artists in Newark, I personally feel, is really special. I think that there's a long historical base for the arts in the city that's continued until today. But every time I turn around, there's like another talented person that I come across. So whether it's music or theater or film or poetry or photography or visual arts or whatever, I just feel like every time I turn around, there's another talented, interesting person in Newark. So can you talk a little bit about your interaction? Let me repeat that. Can you talk a little bit about your interaction with the Newark art scene and what you have not just learned, but what have you felt from interacting with folks in Newark and being a part of the Newark art scene yourself?
It's hugely inspirational. It's hugely inspirational, and I mean that in the sense that, like I said, I don't know what I'm necessarily going to find when I go places to look for things. I don't, you know what I mean? I may know what I'm going to, but I don't know who I'm going to meet and what they do and what they're about. And what I found there that may not be as unique as it used to be, but what I found when I went down there was a lot of like mutual respect and support of each other as artists. Like that used to be hard to come by, at least for me back in the days. Like, you know, there's, I guess, the competitive nature of trying to get into the business. Like when you're dealing, I want to be in the music industry, so everybody's trying to be, you know, the big dog in that sense, and so you're not necessarily going to want to give it up for somebody who's doing something as good or better than you, because somehow that's threatening to your possibilities, which is not true. But we didn't grow up knowing any better, for the most part. So just that alone, like walking into a room and not feeling like I have to watch who's watching me, because nobody was watching me that way. You know what I mean? Like it was like a lot of welcome with open arms type of attitudes, in places that I've been. And I really appreciated that, just because I know how easy it is to see something foreign, come into the environment and immediately feel apprehensive about, and like, what's your purpose here? What do you want? What are you trying to do? With all this, and then it's like, I'm not really going to talk to you because I don't know you. And so, no, I didn't get none of that. That was, if it wasn't for that, I don't think I'd be doing as well with what I'm doing right now, because it was about feeling a certain amount of love without being known. Like I didn't have to be anybody to go into the room and feel that love. Like that was much appreciated. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. And I think that that's one of the interesting distinguishing characteristics about the Newark art scene, is that there is a real feeling of love and mutual respect and support amongst the artists. And, I've been around for a while, so I've seen different evolutions of the city. And I do remember a time when it was a lot more gully, there was a lot more competition. Like people were, artists during the early years of the hip hop scene in the 90s, when artists were becoming internationally known from Newark. And, it was just a whole different vibe. Newark has changed and evolved a lot. And I feel that it's been a very positive evolution, because for a young artist, particularly, to be able to incubate themselves in a space like Newark, which has 300,000 people, it's, you have a lot more opportunity, I think, there to really nurture your talents and figure out who you are and what direction you want to go as an artist. Whereas if you're in a place like New York City, where there's so much competition, yes, you will absolutely sharpen your sword, and you'll sharpen it really, 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 really sharp. But I also think that it can become overwhelming sometimes. If you're a sensitive person, or you're a person that doesn't have a lot of support, like say in your family life, or even your own mental health, or your own physical health, or your financial health, or whatever, if you're a person that's already struggling, it might be really hard for you as an artist. You might never find a space that you can be able to, nurture those talents and have that incubation period to really grow and mature as an artist. And I think that's one of the things that makes Newark special. And of course, you're capturing all of those moments, which is incredible, and leads me to really my last question that I want to ask you. So many times the person that is behind the camera, whether they're filming or photographing, is unseen. I had asked you for a headshot, and you're like, oh, this is like, a headshot from a while ago. And I wasn't surprised at all, because most photographers, when you do see a headshot, it's like them with their camera. You hardly ever see, like, it's event after event after event, and you're not in any of the pictures because you were taking the pictures. So in a lot of ways, the man behind the camera, or the woman, is mysterious, and you know their work, but you don't really know who they are. So my last question to you is, what do you want people to know about you, Mondo? You have a wealth of experience in multi-discipline, you're a multidisciplinary artist. What do you want the world to know about you? What do you want the Newark art scene to know about you? And what do you want for people who are watching this video to take away when they not only walk away with a vision of your work, but when they really get to feel your soul?
That's a heavy question. That's a heavy question. I guess, I always sort of think about it along the way, but it's more so in the sense of what I hope people perceive me as in order for me to continue to do what I do. It's not really so much of what I have any expectation of what people should see, other than as long as you can look at my work and you pull from it what I intended you to pull from it in my head, not that I said it to you out loud or anything like that, but if you do that without me saying so, then I feel like I'm accomplishing the mission, and that's more important to me than anything. Like I don't know what's gonna happen with all this. You know, I don't know. I no longer like have the perception of like some kind of ambition of there's a tier. I have tiers that I have to rise up on in order to be the top, whatever. Like I used to care about those things, and they hemmed me up really bad. Like, you know, ego and all kinds of things will mess with you when you and insecurity as well. So it's like that's the thing. I'm not that guy. Like that's whatever anybody else is doing. I can't speak for that, but the main thing for me is that this is my joy. This is the only way I feel like a human being, is to be able to know that I recognize humanity when I see it. Other than that, you know, it's like I'm just doing what everybody else is doing to get by, and that's necessary, but that just can't be life, not for me. You know, so that's the main thing. When you see me, it's like whether it's a paid situation or I'm just out and about, it doesn't make a difference to me. If I see something that I think is important for people, that people would understand if I showed it to them, I want to show it to them because it keeps me grounded, keeps me, you know, so this is very personal to me, and it's kind of selfish in that way. I give you the you, but I'm doing this, you know, for me, so I can remain human, because there was a time when I didn't have that kind of access. I didn't have that kind of understanding, and picking up a camera was the first time that I could be in a room. And what you're saying is true. Like, you know, the photographer's not really there, and so because I'm not really there, I'm not obligated to engage unless I want to. So this way I can learn how to be a person when I didn't know how to really be a good person. I wasn't a good person before. That much I'll say. I wasn't really a really good guy, and I wasn't happy about that, but I didn't know what to do about it because I had spent my whole life living a certain way. So when I had the opportunity not to have to say anything, so that there's no insecurity, there's no imperative, I don't have to say anything, so I don't feel any pressure. I can just walk around the room and go, oh, that's how it goes, you know, and then go, oh, I get that, I agree with that, or whatever, and I can find my way without feeling embarrassed that I didn't know my way already. You know what I mean? So it's just a personal thing with me. So career-wise, wherever it ends up, I've already done what I wanted to do, which was to get into a gallery, you know, and be seen as to be officially able to call myself an artist. I've done that my whole life, but always sort of like hesitantly, because I didn't quite feel like I qualified for one reason or the other. Maybe because I hadn't gotten into the gallery, or because my work is not recognized nationally, or whatever the case is. Like I said, we were operating on tiers in the industry and things of that nature. Like in that context, I just felt like nothing, and I didn't like that feeling. But once I got rid of all that, I just care that you understand the work, and if you understand the work, you understand me. Like there's no other, you know, you don't need any other explanation. You see it, you can already gather what kind of person I am now, even if I was anything worse before.
Yes. Well, what a journey it is. I mean, yes, it is personal. Every artist is, you know, your work is extremely personal to you, but that's also your gift. You called it selfish. I call that self-empowerment. I call that knowing who you are, really, really understanding who you are and knowing what you can offer to create that human connection. Because if you're not using your gifts in life, are you really living? I mean, really, are you really living? I don't think you are. I really don't. So, yeah. So when I think about, you know, everything that you just said, what a journey and what a beautiful story, because there's a lot of us that don't feel confident about our art, that don't necessarily feel embraced by, you know, other artists, that feel hesitant to reveal themselves, because being an artist requires you to almost cut yourself open and expose yourself. You know, you're not hiding behind, you know, a computer program, or, you know, it's not about you going in and using an instrument to save somebody's life. You are really giving yourself, you're putting your own self out there to be judged. And that's a very scary thing. And it takes a lot of courage to do that. So to hear what that means to you as an artist is incredibly inspiring. And I think that this is all why we do what we do, especially at Newark Arts, is about supporting this and creating an environment by which you know there's platforms and opportunities for artists to show their work and for people to see the work, people that are not artists, just regular people to be able to consume that art. So thank you very much, Mondo. It's been a pleasure talking to you. As always, you're one of my favorite people. I love your work. You're such an incredible talent. Some of my favorite photos and videos that I have of myself were shot by you. So I've been, you know, blessed to have you document me as DJ MD, document me doing different work in the community. You know, I really feel honored every time that you take a photo of me. I like, they get the most likes. It's just, it makes me feel like you really actually see me. So I know that if you make me feel that way, that you make everybody feel that way. So thank you so much for doing what you do. Thank you for being a part of this festival. And I have to let everybody know that not only is Mondo presenting this eGALLUTS video, but he's also a featured artist that's part of our projection event that's happening on Friday. It's called Facade as Canvas, and he's one of the featured artists there. So you have to come and check it out. It's on Edison Place and Mulberry Street at 8 p.m. on Friday, October 9th. And you get to see all those incredible photos, life-size, movie-size. So make sure you check that out. And thank you, Mondo, for everything you do and for giving me the pleasure of interviewing you.
Thank you so much. Can I just say, add just one thing before we go?
Absolutely.
Okay, I just want to say this particular thanks I owe. I mean, I owe thanks to a lot of people, but significant thanks to, you know, in particular context, one to Akintola. For more or less being my Yoda in this situation, like guiding me through, you know, like what's going on, and like really, you know what I'm saying, helping me kind of figure out what was happening. That's, you know, one person. Suleiman, you know, Anke, for you know his like he's also been like in my ear and helping me, you know what I'm saying, with different things, and just kind of like we've been working together with stuff, and he's just been, you know, those two gentlemen have been a huge influence. And lastly, you, because what people don't know is that, like, you know, in terms of a certain kind of energy you gave, you were one of the first people to give me that good energy, that recognition, and like, you know, like listen, why don't you come over here and talk to me for a second? And you were the first person to interview me in like 15 years. And I mean, I wasn't in great shape at that time mentally. I was definitely still trying to figure things out. I was still in a bad place trying to escape from it, but what you did went a long way to get me to where I'm standing right now. So just want to know the three of you guys are very much appreciated. More people appreciate it as well, but you guys in particular, because you did something very specific for me, and you know, I love you guys.
Oh, thank you. That makes me so happy. That makes me feel like everything that I do is worth it, because like you said, it's not just about me. It's about us. It's about bringing together, you know, people and sharing this energy together. This is what life is about. So thank you so much. I'm happy that I can be a small part of your journey and to keep, you know, pushing you and elevating you, because you are extremely talented person. You have a gift, you have a vision, and it's something that everybody who looks at your work feels the same way. So thank you for allowing me to interview you today. And I'm so like honored that I was the first person that interviewed you in 15 years. That's incredible. Like that means a lot. That means that you trusted me enough to open yourself up to me in that kind of way. And that for me is like, it's just, I have so much, I cherish those kind of things. I really do. So thank you for allowing me to be a part of your journey. And thank you for allowing me to interview you again. Thank you.
It was only right. It was only right.